Hey, you tourists, it's your boy Domination. This is Back at the Basic. Chuck the Deuce is how we do text, baby. And the only place, to go get it. Only place to go, all the place to go get it. Only place to go get it. Only place to go get it. Only place to go get it is right back at the basic. Chuck the Deuce is how we do text, baby. Man, that is back. You know what it is. Real men rise up. Fake men rise down. Real women rise up. Fake women rise down. Let the word preach and preach on. And today's topic I'm going to talk about is and today's topic what I want to talk about today is suburb to suburbs to suburb to suburban to suburb to urban to suburb. You can say that much. To urban to suburbs. When you hear the word suburb, you ever wonder what it means? Suburb people, for people who live in the suburbs, you live in the suburb in certain areas and you live with the higher income and taxes, tactic, whatever you want to call it. But if you live in the inner city limits, that's urban. But I'm gonna explain to you that's why we need to look at these definition of these words when you hear this word inner city. Here's inner city. Inner city is the central area of a major city complex, and may also refer to the urban land of using model. Mean working labor, structuring labor. I bet you that's what it's about. This is what they said. Land used into former cast of the undertaken to project to the distribution, including to the of the trips and the graduate and activity in the urban area. Urban. You remember it says urban in practice. Land use models or dependent the drive as used input and the digressional information on the growing produced by the digressional gate and encounter me in force cast activity land using to limit or input to translate to plan to present process protent. You see how they said. I bet you this is about black labor. This is why they say black labor, and this is black labor right here. And it just said it, making money other people, but not making money clues to you as a person for your community. And it just said it right here. In United States, the term is offered as a European to perhaps to the lower income to to residence district in the city cent and the nearby area in the United States. The term has the additional on the content of the improvement of blacks and or Hispanic neighborhoods and subscribing log sometimes is run into the in submarine into the form of this design as perhaps to the term of inner city as much as residence area rather than to go to and uh, gravitatively more than central commercial district. You see, it says right here. You see where it says right here when it said poverty and crime, or more associate with the district of suburb. You know what they're trying to say is, meaning that the black community or white black community or black brothers black community or Latino brothers and sisters living in expectation of certain dangerous crime area they live in intercity. There's enter of a crime, but in suburban city, suburb mean is lower crime. They like to keep it quiet, keep it safe. You see where it's going. You see how it's played. It says Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese and French and Swedish word from suburb and suburbo and suburban and borderland and to form of the respectively offered having a negative content familiar into that of the English term intercity. Perhaps when used into process, they know what they're saying. It's basically they're saying the urban city is a bad area. It's a dangerous zone. No danger. There's danger zone. Don't go there. But in the suburb, there's no danger zone. It's a safe, good environment. See, I know what they're trying to do, and they use this. They use this. This is what they meant when they say urban city. When you talk about urban, you're talking about intercity limits. But they trying to say this is minority. But yet it says majority city. So there's more than one people. See that tell you right there. They just expose themselves and tell you how they feel. Let's go to the word of suburb and see what this means. A suburb is a residential area or a mixed using area, either existed as a part of a city of suburban area, or is you see it says separate residents in the community within committed the district of a city in the most English Spanish region. Suburb area was refined into context to the central or intercity areas. But in Australia English, suburb has been become the larger as a city with is what is called a neighborhood in other countries. In some areas, as much as Australia, China, New Zealand, and New Zealand, and the United Kingdom, and a few U.S. states, new suburb or routine enhancement by the rejected of the city in others some as much as French Abra in most of United States and Canada. Many suburbs remain separate, multiple parties. You see this says multiple parties or are governed by the part of a large location government area as much as a country. You see what they're saying? They're saying it says it right here. Suburb engage on a larger scale in the 19th and 20th century as a result of the improved in the tail in the road of transport, which is into lead included in committed in general has a low population density than inner city intercity neighborhoods within in complex area, and most relatives are commit to the central cities or other business district. However, there are many exploitable included in the in in the industry suburb to plan to the communities and satellite cities. Suburb is trend to pro life around the city. that is have in bonded or rejected a flat land. You see what it says, all that. The word is been rooted from the old French suburb, which is in the turning the rooted from the Latin and suburba and former or from suburb, meaning above or below, and an urban city in the ancient Roman. Wealthy and important people trend to live on the hills of Rome. Wow. While the poor, poor civilized living in the lower settlements, and hence below the city. The first recorded of agement of the term in the English amount to the Ottoman for English dictionary are made by John Wycliffe in the 1380s, where the form suburban was used. You know what they're trying to say, right? When they trying to say that it's a safe environment, especially in the white community, it says right here. See, it goes back to the damn Romans again. That's why when you hear the word romance, it's come from these people. These people look down on their own people. They on the receive and remain on the servative of the top, the servant for themselves, and the receiving the rejection and rejection of the servant of the bottom ain't gonna receive getting nothing. See, this is what they're trying to say. In the United States and Canada, suburb can refer to either to the outline relatives area of a city or town, or to the a separate multiplicated under a corporation area outside of a city, or outside a town or city. They just admit it. It goes back to right there. They want a safe environment for the best for the children, the kids. They don't want no loud music. Oh no, they don't want no drugs. They don't want no guns. They don't want nothing like that. They're telling you that's what the suburb means. They tell you what it means. They just re-admit it. But they tell you what the suburb actually came from. They want a safe environment for the most important people. And who did they talk about? Asians and whites. That's who they talking about. The wealthy. If it ain't Asians and whites or wealthy, it'd be blacks and black wealthies that they call sellouts, going over townsmen, other people, forget about where they from and all that, and even and Latinos forget about where they are and where they from. But the people who are not more important is white trash, Negroes, and spics. They're trying to say they're not important, but it says right here when they say the word suburb, they said this is not a good environment, but yet they said that a major city, but yet they call black people majority. See what I'm saying? When they say majority, you got to live in a majority rule. In other words, you got to obey the order. But if you disobey, you don't get no order. That's what they're telling you. This is what they meant when they say inner city limits. Stay off the limits means don't go there. It's a bad area. And who do they talk about though? They're talking about white people to stay away from the inner cities. If you're part of that, you no longer having that same status quo what they had. I see what they're saying though, but you see how this world was set up. No wonder why in the black community they say the word hood and white people say neighborhood. We got to watch out the neighborhood. We do this together for the people, for keep it safe. In which you couldn't blame them for thinking like this, but yet I see what they're talking about. inner city is the most unprecedented of the part of the complex where the houses is expensive and where the elite and the high income individual dwell. Poverty and crime are more associated with the district suburbs. They don't want nothing to do with that or be a part of it. But you see how they say about Italians and Hispanic and Portuguese and French. But the people who are more important people that feel like they're superior, they underneath it all. They look down on them. See, this is what goes back to this word ghetto. When you hear the word ghetto, ghetto is a part of a city in which of the members of a majority group live, perhaps because of the social and legal or academy pressure. The term is usually used in villa to describe the part of the city to which the Jews was relegated and segregation. You see what they did. This is what they meant when the word ghetto. This is why black community need to look at the word ghetto when they say it. The a dictionary list of the numbers of the possibility, the origin from the originally Italian term, including ghetto or ghetto, which is meaning slang or in ways into violence and was used in sense and as rather to the defilement and where the slang was a stored of location on the same island as the area of the Jews confinement, the veteran ghetto, and the particle and the decimal of Borrego and particle and other theories that the word re, defined from the Hebrew word get. You see that word when they say ghetto, they getting some. I mean, if they want some, they take it instead of receive to earn it. A divorce or separation document. You see, it says it's come from the ghettos, slums in the community. People that land don't pick up paper. People don't want to work. They don't want to have an opportunity. This is what they meant what the word ghetto means, and they talking about the Jewish community. But why is it that they hate the Jewish community for some reason? And it's got to be for this. See, you see what they said about Africa. Arab for sugar and salt. Arab for the salt is the well at the Jewish quarters of a city in Morocco and to element of the European ghettos and the Jewish population confined to the Monoleo into Morocco beginning from the 15th century, perhaps since in the early 19th centuries, and the city of Morocco was surrounded by the walls of the former field to gate away, perhaps in the Jewish quarters was the situation nearby the royal palace or the residence of the government in order to protect inhabitants from the recent of riots and to consent and to rudiment Radical and the model was separate a village and perhaps and sold by the Jews. See, this is what goes back to hundreds of years ago when they say the word ghetto, man. People need to look this up, and they're trying to say that Jews and blacks are undesirable, but what really desirable is white into tragedation, and so is Asians. You see what I'm saying with this. You see how the system was set up. This is no accident. They're just waiting to happen. And what they say, enter press. They've been depressed. They need to get out of poverty. They need to get off of welfare and everything else. You see what I'm saying with this? They pushing jobs overseas for a reason. I had my father told me the reason why they pushing jobs overseas because of Barack Obama, and I really do believe that, and it's got to be true. And look at this, black flight. Black flight is a term to perhaps to the out integrated to of African Americans from the predominantly dominate black or a mixed intercity areas in the United States to the suburbs. And the outline of the edge of the city of the newest home and the construct home constructed, while more attracted has been to pay to this since the 1990s. And the movement of blacks to the suburbs has been an underways for some times with the 9 millions of person who have migrated from the 1960s to 2000. Their goal has been familiar to those of the whites of middle class, and to an encouragement out of migrate was called white flight, and the newest houses are better school for their children, and uh, and an attractive environment from the 1990s to the 2000s and protected center age of African Americans who are living in the suburb, including to a total of 39%, raising 5% into that declared most who moved to suburbs after the World War II are middle class. This is what they say. Chicago, the Midwest city, right? Midwest. Chicago, Detroit, and Philadelphia has been totally populated and declared a loss of white population as well since the 2000 carcass. The numbers and proportion of the black population have descended into seven major cities, including New York City, New York, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Boston, San Francisco, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C. This is what they say. And also, since 1965, African Americans has been to return to the South into a new grade of integrate since perhaps in the 1990s to the state of Georgia, Texas, and Maryland. And the whole other economy has been explained in other cases. They have followed to the document to the a movement of the jobs to the suburbs and to the south because more African Americans attempted of college degrees, and they are a better development to the find and to perhaps to better a better job payment and moving to suburbs. Move to suburb, most African Americans migrate and leave to the northern region has been gone to the new South states, where an economy and jobs have grown from the knowledge industries, service, and technology. You know what they saying, right? Black community or African Americans, they say they want a better life. They want to have the same opportunity as Caucasian with European Americans, and achievement of higher education has been tipped and included into overall in influence within the African American community when included in mental income by both in absolute terms into the relation to that of the European Americans. From out to a 2007 study in average African American family have included by the gap with the white families have includingly precisely. I mean they ain't still ain't made more money than white Americans. But how you think white Americans get this money though? See, this is how it's set up. This is what this black flight is about: living with white folks. And what is white flight is about? Let's look at white flight. White flight is a term that is its origin in the United States and started in the mid 20th centuries and applied to the larger scale that migrate of whites of revert of Europeans ancestors from racial mixing and urban regions to more of racial and and homogeneous and suburb or the ex suburban region. And you hear what they go. The term has more recently been and perhaps to the others migrated by whites from older suburb or to region areas as well as from the U.S. Northeast and Midwest to the in the Southeast and Southwest. And the term has been used from the larger scale to post colonization migrate of whites from Africa, a part of that continent drive by the levels of violence and anti-colonization state policies. You know what they're saying, right? That white brothers and sisters, was migrated out of black folks, basically a racist towards against them. Because this is what I said earlier when that Rainbow Coalition by whatever his name is, Mr. Mandela. White people did blame Mr. Mandela because they feel like Mr. Mandela, he was talking about the integrate with white folks and white folks live together with blacks and blacks living together with whites. And unfortunately, nothing didn't happen. What happened is white farmers got killed. Now I don't know how true that is over there in Africa, but it's no excuse. Anybody should not attack anyone if they're white or black or with anybody else. Nobody should attack anyone for this racist stuff. See, they need to get rid of this scientific racism. I've been saying this before. This stuff was set up since day one. It wasn't no accident just sitting there waiting to happen. They wanted people integrate away from each other for who the race they can identify, who they identified with. All racism is a colored system based on society, how you treat it. It had nothing to do because you Caucasian. It had nothing to do you're African. It got nothing to do you damn sure Asian, Oriental, you Oriental anything. It got something to do based on you should treat it. You see how they play whites and blacks against each other, but their own people did this to them. My own folks buy into the lies, and even whites buy into the lies, and Asians too. Racism should have been stopped over there in Africa. And it should have been stopped in Asia. And it damn sure should have been stopped over there in Europe. But look what happened. Now, it got so bad, it got to a point, I doubt if they're ever going to come together. But they care about their own interests. They don't care about anybody else. You think they give a damn about whites and blacks together? No. Whites and blacks, they on their own. And Asians too. It's sad. It says a lot that we live in a world. And doing research about this, I see why some people are racist. I see why. Because I guarantee somebody fucking with them. And why you think they fucking with them? They have to fucking with them for some reason. Whites or defend their space with violence and mitigate and illegal legal tactic means somebody fucking with whites. Somebody fucking with them, and that's probably why they think like this. And that the verses of misled the perhaps essentially that whites and perhaps deep parts of when blacks are moving into the neighborhood, when the fact that many whites so they fend their space with violence. So and legal tactics means somebody's going to go to their neighborhood, going to rob and steal and all this other stuff. Because when you heard about the word intercity in suburb between the conquered, between north and south, you see how that goes, how they play this. They need to look this stuff up, man. There were whites that slaved blacks, and there were blacks slaving whites. For some reason, I believe that whites and blacks, they both been played at each other. They both been played. You see how I said group area uh, acts and education acts, black code, black buster, blockbuster. They blocked the area, they blocked the streets to keep every whites and blacks separated from each other as far as possible. And this is no accident. This has been set up since day one. Some say that when you show the red and blue, you're descendants from Esau and Jacob. Some people want to argue that Esau is white people. White people are descendants of Japhet. You look at them, and they're the only race people that flushed out flushment of red because somehow they got skin pigmentation, mean they get skin fracture, they get skin infection, means they got skin cancer, and they have to need something that operate for their skin to need some black not some black need some oilmentation to oilment to protect their skin for they won't red themselves out. And somehow the black community, they bleach their skin. This is why black whites tan in their skin, because now they might be comfortable on skin. Some of them saying they was really black at that time over there in the early days in Europe, over there from the Anathols, and they migrate and integrate out of the coldment out of their skin. And I do believe that does happen. This is why they say black tanning. They tanner their skin for they look more, trying to appear more than brown and more than black, for they can live and live more longer from the lack of mutation, lack of melanin. I do believe that, but somehow that the Africans, they lost something too. I noticed that blacks, they bleached their skin, and that means they was bleaching and they became standing in the sun for so long their skin started to pelament out. Pigmentation. They went from black to white, and white become the cold out of the white to black. See, this is no accident. I really do believe this is how it's set up. That's how Asians they came along. I don't know how Asians came along with this. They probably mellowed out of melanin different towards between the black out of the cold out of the heat and cold out of the white. So you put it all together, they melanin out. They melon different melon they become yellow and yellow mint. So that's me melanin. It's very, I can see why. And Asians and everybody else and whites and blacks came along. If you broke one egg, you make it two, you make it three, you make it four, you make it, it's each more eggs you cracked. It's how these other 5 different races came up here. So this is how. And it started from the Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. It goes back 1,000 years ago to 2,000. That's why you see it now. This is why whites love to stay in the cold and blacks love to be on the heat. Whites can't stand the heat. They get heat exhaustion. They get reistration. They get sweating up real bad, and they flooding up real bad. Because if they stay in the sun too long, they get red flashing of their flashing of their skin. Black people can't stand in the cold because for some reason you got to look more you got to bleach yourself in and bled them in out in order to be in the cold. Whites can make it in the cold. Blacks can make it in the heat. This is why whites will argue that blacks can't make it. But there are some blacks over there in Alaska. There are some blacks on every part if they got some white blood in them. There are some whites can make it in the heat. Some could, some can't. Some blacks can make it in the cold, some could, some can't. It goes back to the Homo sapiens and the Neanderthal. Whites were the Neanderthals and blacks are the Homo sapiens. For some reason, this is how it started. Some argue that Africans don't have no Neanderthal DNA. Basically, they're saying they were invaded by monkeys. Come on, that's stupid. And you know, I believe is the binal esotism of lack of different melanin parts of the skin. Your skin don't manufacture a manufacturing of the skin. That's what I do think what happened. And albinos were integrated out of Africa and settled over there in Europe, and somehow they became white people. I know some people are going to argue with this, but you need to ask. Same thing, blacks, they must have traveled so long in the sun, they start peeling themselves and turning to black to white. This is why blacks bleach their skin and try to look like the people they want to blend in and want to feel a part because they feel like deep down they're part of whites. But somehow they're not part of. They feel like they lack of other or no other. Black, white people feel like they hate black, but they want to be the black people they always love to hate. This is why whites and blacks need to admit their mistakes because I see why a lot of these things are taking place right now. This is nothing new. Ever since Obama got in there, people got to understand Obama's half black. He came from a womb out of white woman. White people raised him. It wasn't blacks raising him. Probably his African side, but it was whites who raised him as well. I can see why blacks say, "Oh, he might look like a black man, but he don't think like us." I can see why they say it because Obama do not grow up in black experience. He see the world a lot different. People can get mad, but it's the truth. How many brothers and sisters who got a qualified of educational to make something out of into the global scale and the global world? You ain't gonna see too many black men making it in the world unless he act a certain way, or be a certain way, or dress a certain way, because he know he's being viewed in the world with scum in society. I don't know why to do that. They disconnected. I don't know why to do that because they need to do something about this whole internet thing because this internet thing gets on my damn nerve. But it proved to you how these other races got here. It proved to you that everybody showed the color red. You the red of the descendants from Esau and Jacob. Esau is red. Esau is red and Jacob is blue. Some people argue that Esau is red. That's white brothers, sisters, like I said before. And Jacob is a black man. Some say they want to argue with this. Now I don't know how true that is. Because when you hear the name Jacob, Jacob do sound like a black man name, Jacob. When you hear the word Jacob, 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 it do sound like a black person's name. It does sound like it. When you hear the word of Esau, Esau is a European name. European white brothers and sisters do got names like that. Uh, uh, I'm not good at white people's names. White people's names like uh, 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 you Emiley. That's white girl's name, and black people's name. White people's name is like white girl's name is Molly, and white guy's name is Todd, Chad, and uh, Richard. White people got names like simple actual names like that. Black people got names like Rashana, Renata, Sheeta. They black people got names like that, like recessive names. Black men got names like Quincy, uh, Quincy, Jodiment, and Casey. They got names like that. So you know the difference between whites and blacks. See, whites has always been seen as being cave, abrasive, and outdoors and abrasive life. White folks like that. That's their thing. And you can say anything about them. They do got a beautiful culture. Their culture is so different than any other race. There's no other. But they write about one thing. White people do got the most beautiful certain features than any other race of people. It's something about their eye color and their hair color that I don't see other race don't have. And some people are jealous of them because of this. And they want to be like it. Why are they jealous of the black community? It's simple. because we got the best certain athlete, certain affluent of feature men, especially black men. We do have it. Not to say that white guys don't have it. White guys have it too, but they have it in a way like uh uh workomatic and bottomatic. That's their thing. That's white males. White women been seen they the most eye of certain of a beauty man, a beautiful man of a woman. That's white women. That's a European thing. Black women is seen as rhythmic and rhythm of the soul. It's something about black women. I don't know what it is. They got the best embodiment and teak embodiment of women. I never seen a woman like that for years. I see why there's a difference between black men and white men, and there's a difference between a white woman and black woman. But they act alike, they think alike, they be like, they part from each other. But the thing is, they come from different parts of men people. That's all it is. They just have to learn to respect and get along one another. We all one together. We all come together as a people because there's too many people existing in this planet. So you got to know who you are and ask yourself, because a lot of people don't know that there's a history meant between red and blue. Red and blue. When you red, you Esau. You see, they say show red and blue. They show that color in every culture. Red and blue. Red and blue. Some people say black people are blue because, especially dark people. I remember my uncle Keith, rest in peace. I remember when he died, he was pillarment blue, even though he was dark. And I'm like, is it possible? Black people are blue. It reminded me of that movie, of the movie called, I forgot what this movie called. It was called Avatar. If you ain't never seen the movie, go see the movie. And I always wondered as a black folks there and a white guy trying to live the world and see what it's like. They always show red and blue. They always show this. Some say the red and blue is red is the devil, blue is angel. Some say that. Some say that if women are pyramid is downward, men are upward. This is why the devil's pointing arrow. It look like the devil's arrow, don't it? Especially the male symbol. The woman symbol is the cross. The cross is up downward. And I'm not saying women are evil or nothing like that, but there's a real reason a lot of this stuff is taking place right now. There's a real reason. All my family called me. Hold on for a second. Huh? I didn't know it either. Oh. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she was young. Yeah. No, I didn't know it. Hold on. Yeah, I remember that. No. Yeah, I didn't know that. I couldn't tell that was her. No, I did not know that. But we need to start talking about this. We need to come together as one, black and white. I understand it's going to be difficult, but we all one together. We all one people. We need to stop all this damn foolishness about between black and white, because this whole thing was descended. This is why Pepsi brand. If you notice the Pepsi, they always show red and blue. Some say that Greeks are blue and red is Romans. See, it goes back to dark Caucasian to light Caucasians. See, they say that Romans are light Caucasian, but they really kind of dark just as much. But they lighter. They lighter. Even though that when you look at the word Italian, and I'm not saying all Italians are black. Some are Italians are identified as white, but some of them do got some black African ancestors. Excuse me, some of them, because all they know about their culture, and some blacks who got some European in their ancestors somewhere. It's just a history lesson to show you. Some say the Greek got some black African ancestors, got mixation by Europeans and blacks. Because Because if you look in Greeks are darker than Europeans. They like darker Europeans, and Romans are brighter light Europe white Europeans. See, that explains a lot. That's what goes back to Esau and Jacob. People need to look in their Bible because it said right there. Because they always show that color, red and blue. The home of democracy, the home of republic. Democracy is the poorment and the poorment of state and the bad statement from the poor people. Democracy is no Republican is the public of the rich and richer of the public of rich and middle for the people of the rich. The democracy means it come from the people from the poorment and the poorment of the people. I said this all the time, and that's why I done my research. You got to do it too, because there's a real reason. The history repeats itself, and I believe something bad is going to happen. But things that got to be ahead. Why I'm showing this? I'm showing this because we all connected in one very kind of plan. We all connected. Why you think they say Indo-Europeans when they say indigenous Europeans? They part of black, Asians, the whole nine. They all part. Don't let anybody tell you no different. And that's so is Asian as well. People need to look this stuff up, man, because it explains a lot. Even Mike Tyson even said that the whole boxing world, because boxers came from gang activity, put the people in put pits in two different corners, the red corner and the blue corner. That it goes back to there. That's why the government of funded by boxing and still make money to this day. It should have took over by the government by now. Matter of fact, they probably is now. There are people and there's a fighting going on between Pacquiao and Mayweather. And I really do believe they're gonna get Pacquiao that belt. I guarantee you that because they're already tired of Mayweather because Mayweather already have the title enough, so they're gonna make Pacquiao be the number one contender and Mayweather is a number one champion. Let's be honest. Let's look at the boxing world and the state of it. Boxing is all fix it out. They know who's going to have the winning money and the losing money. It's been like that in sports or over there in football, basketball, baseball. I could go a whole nine. Even in boxing, even in Olympics. What do you think Olympics is about? Olympics go back to the Romans and the Greeks. It goes back to the Romans. No, the Greeks. The Greeksology. It's between the gods and man and God, between men and women, between angels and devils, between black sorcerers and black sorcerers and white and whites sportsmen of God's men. It goes back to that, man. What's been taught. This is why a lot of people believe this stuff. This is why a lot of people leave. That's what form of black magic and white magic. Black magic is about voodoo. It's about castrating and castration of casting voodoo dolls and voodoo and put some stick of needles and stick of needle to make them to do things and do harm things. You could say that much. That's black sorcery is about. They try to say black people is a dead race. That's what they're saying. That we black people when they die, they gonna rise from the dead. It sounds crazy. That's what the term N word is about. People can look this up. Black magic is about paganism. It's about form of passing spells and casting spells and passing spells. You make them do something they don't want to do, and they'll do it by force or forcefulness. You don't do it out of love and do it on a lovement for the person. You do it because you force them. Black magic, on the other hand, they put magic to people to make them hideous things and hideous activity they done. So people need to study this kind of stuff, man, because this is between the black magic and white magic. That's the two different. Why you think in every commercial they always put a black man with a white woman? They always do this. Even in video games, even in movies, they always do this all the time. And I barely don't see a white guy with a black woman. Now, there's probably some you might see, except Scandal. That stuff been going on ever since before slavery, ever since the stuff that goes on right now. For all you black women try to act like this is something new, this is nothing new. It's been going on for years. This has been going on for the last 20 years. Let's be honest. I don't know why is it that blacks and whites are scared to address this. Let's be honest. Whites and blacks are fucking. And matter of fact, they probably fucking right now. I bet you they is. Where you think all these damn mixable kids coming up? You mean to tell me a Nazi and a Panther won't fall in love with each other? Let's say a Black Panther man fall in love with a Nazi Klanman woman. That does happen if you do think about it. People need to think about that right there. Think about that for a second. Such as much as a neo-Nazi white skinhead fall in love with a black pandemic of a black woman. I'm sorry, it's true. This been going on for the last 20 years. For thousands of years till now. I don't care how racist you are. The only reason why people are racist simply because they killing our nation. They killing our race. We need to do something because it's going to confuse about their identity. This is why some people are racist. Especially not just only blacks, but whites too. Everybody else. Whites are started all this, and then blacks, and then Asian, and everything else. But do your own research and give me your own commentary, because this is what I say. Because they always show the color red and blue. They always show that between the different races, and there's always some tension between blacks and whites. It goes back again, the Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals. Whites are descendants from the whites are descendants of the Neanderthal, even though they come from the Homo sapiens part of it, and you got blacks or the Neanderthals. No, blacks, the Homo sapiens. Whites were the Neanderthals, even though they got some parts of Homo sapiens now. Blacks were blacks or the Homo sapiens, even though they got part of the Neanderthals in them. So it goes both ways. But this is my commentary, and explaining what's yours. All right. I just finished a video. That ain't nothing, but I want to give you my commentary and tell me what you think of this video. That's something that be talked about. All right? All right. It's your boy Domination. This is Back of the Basic Joe. This is how we do text, baby. Until next time. All right? I'm right. In peace, and I'm out. All right? Bye.